The gentleman would request that the rain of standing for the singing of the national anthem. Lead us in the word.
Niu sa toro ia sa dulu ngana ka kau sa kitaka au sa mole la wana ka sa si sa kadibi o kilo me la kina kru e na buku Kristo Jesu.
Chief of Staff of the Public Officials and the Forces is also with us this morning, Captain John Fox. To begin, sir, with a short introduction. There will also be the conduct of a small morning team who are present this morning. All mission essential lessons in the third phase of curriculum training. This shield is awarded to 30907. Oportuno no colegio.
Sam. Let me first acknowledge the MC for the kind words of welcome and the introductory remarks this morning. I'm indeed privileged and honored to be here amongst you this morning, but I find it rather strange, but I still accepted the invitation to come and address you this morning. Strange because of the fact that I think this is perhaps one of the first occasions where a minister comes to deliver a closing address at the conclusion of a pre-deployment training. But however, I feel that it's relevant. It's important that I be given some events of the past and the developments that have taken place. And it's also an opportunity for you to hear from me as Minister responsible for defense, and most importantly as Minister responsible for foreign affairs, because this is an extensive arm of Fiji's diplomatic relations with our friends, and particularly in support of multilateralism. And of course, I speak to you as well as a former officer of the RFMM, someone who has been there, done that. And of course, as a member of the current government as well. So I thank the Director of Peace Support Operations, Colonel Wayne, for the invitation. So please bear with me as I address you this morning, and I hope that you will take the message that I will share with you in the spirit with a receptive spirit, I would say, so that we can all benefit from it, and of course, most importantly, particularly as I speak on behalf of the government, making sure that the intentions of government is well understood by each and every one of you. Again, let me stress the importance of the mission that you will be participating in. I have a script here, but I think I'm just being impromptu sometimes, or most times I feel better just being impromptu, speaking out of the convictions of my heart, because I am a firm believer in speaking out of the convictions of the heart, because whatever the heart tells you is relevant, it's applicable, it's genuine, and it will also, in that spirit, will touch, and of course the message gets home to all of you. Let me first acknowledge the Chief of Staff, RFMF, Captain John Fox, and of course, again, UPSO, Colonel Wayne, and the training team here at Black Rock, Captain Blue and Sid Lodi and Captain Canyon. I see also Pranil in the team. I don't know what he's doing here. But thank you and well done to the team. I hope that I'm sure you have completed what's expected of you, and you've done a marvelous job in preparing the troops for the assignment that's before them. Let me also acknowledge our good friend, Commander James Kyle, the commander of the Training and Doctrine Command of the New Zealand Defence Forces, who is here with us this morning. And James, we warmly welcome you again. And although you lost the World Cup Defence rugby competition, but we want to wish the New Zealand All Blacks all the very best in your semi-final, quarter-final against Ireland in the coming days. So we are still with you. Don't be offended by the loss that your team suffered in the last Defence World Cup. but it's normal in any gathering as such for Pacific Islanders. We talk rugby first before we talk official business. And that is why I wanted to talk rugby first today. And of course, I also acknowledge the Defence Attaché of New Zealand, who is also here. And I am surprised to learn that the New Zealand Officer Cadet School is also here. And of course, I look forward to perhaps paying a visit to them on Monday, just to show support and of course the building on the relationships that has never been at this level. We would agree, both with our friends, Australia and New Zealand. And again, I also wish to take this opportunity to acknowledge them for their contribution, not only in the draft training, but of course under the respective defense cooperation programs and the mutual assistance program with the respective countries. And I've been advised by RFLF that he has just come back from Canada for the defense cooperation talks. And of course, we also have our mutual assistance program with New Zealand. The way forward for us as a small country is partnership. And of course, that's also consistent with Secretary General Guterres' Action for Peace agenda in trying to review peacekeeping operations, its significance given the challenges that we face in this fast-changing world dictated by so many events and activities. There is a need for peacekeeping, and not only peacekeeping, but of course other development aspects as well to be reviewed. Let me start by saying that change is something that is inevitable. It's unavoidable. Change can be good, change can be bad. But I always argue that change is good if we prepare ourselves well for the changes that are expected to come. We can influence the future better if we prepare well. And when changes will happen in the future, we can be in a better position to adapt, to adopt the changes if we prepare well. Why am I saying this to you? Because I want to remind you this morning that peacekeeping has changed significantly over the years. And when we speak to RFMF personnel, we have a lot of experienced peacekeepers in the room. But I'm here to remind you that the environment has changed significantly, and will continue to change. Therefore, we need to adjust, we need to adapt, and we need to adopt the changes that has happened over the years. Little Hart, a military philosopher, is well known for a quote, and this is what Little Hart said: "It's easy to put new ideas into men, but it's hard to get the old ideas out of men." Let me say that again. It's easy to put new ideas into men, but it's hard to get the old ideas out of men. Your old ideas may no longer be relevant. Your old ideas may no longer be applicable. UNAMI is a different mission altogether. It's not UNIFIL, it's not MFO, it's not ANDOF, it's not UNDAED, or some of the missions that you have served previously in. Be prepared, accept the changes. hit the ground, expect that changes have happened. Changes in the external environment dictates change within. The external environment has changed significantly, and this is perhaps the biggest driver and demands that we also change within. So because the external environment, the political environment has changed, the economic environment has changed, technology has played a significant role. I've just noted in one of the recent publications the use of UUAV in peacekeeping missions. This is technology. So I want to remind all of you that these external changes demand that we change from within. I acknowledge the CEO designate, Major Lepani Tamuni, and his officers, men and women of members of UNAMI Draft 22. This environment dictates that we also change. The way we do business must change. And of course, the United Nations, through the Secretary General, has come up with this Action for Peace mandate because of the changes in the external environment. And that also dictates that troop and police contributing countries also implement the changes. So you designate and your officers, senior NCOs, leadership plays a critical role in these changes. George Bernard Shaw says that progress is impossible without change. People who cannot change their mind cannot change anything. The paradigm must change. The way you see things must change. CEO designate, your paradigm must shift. Same with your officers, your paradigm must shift. And all of us, our paradigm must shift. So that we can be relevant, so that we can be effective, so that we can be efficient, and most importantly, fulfill the mandate and maintain the highest level of professionalism and discipline as expected of peacekeeping or peace support personnel. The way we do operations has to change. Maybe our structure has to change. Our processes and systems must also change. Our approach to leadership and followership must change. And look at me, our attitude must also change. Most recently, I think, and I'll be honest with you today, we had a problem of attitude. And I hope that the officers will be able and our leadership will be able to fix that. There is no bad soldier, only bad leaders. We expect good leadership. When we lead from the front. We set the standards. Make sure that those standards are maintained and respected. And for those of us that are in subordinate ranks, as followers, your time will come when you will take over leadership. But if this is the time for you to listen, you listen. You obey commands and instructions. So this is the first key message that I wanted to leave with you. For us to be effective, for us to be efficient, let us embrace change. Saling na baby south, kung na durgo, kinamanalaw, kung na natural rival, kung na baby tag. Saling na baby south, kaya talaga na baby south na yung waraw on the right. And the thing was on the right. Those that have left did a lot, sacrificed a lot to bring Fiji to where it is today. And it's our responsibility to continue with that legacy. I don't know the time. Sa dengwan sa deng, sa wodian sa wodi, sa mati talaga sa mati. But you and I, it do not know the time. Let's carry on with that responsibility. Let's take that responsibility seriously. I did indicate that one of the reasons why I wanted to be here as well is because I am also your Minister for Foreign Affairs. We have to do a lot of traveling, we have to do a lot of lobbying with Australia and New Zealand and our friends to ensure that Fiji remains in the UN peacekeeping mandate. You would note that from 2014 we had about over 1,000 troops. Over 1,000 troops on deployment. Today we have about 489, if I remember correctly. It would have been worse. And we are thankful to PM Morrison who addressed you on Saturday. It was through his intervention, sent the Australian Foreign Minister, Marissa Payne, sent Marissa Payne to New York and did the lobbying. New Zealand did their part as well, and of course Fiji did its part as well. All that I wanted to tell you is it's not easy to fix things when we fail to deliver in the mission field. CEO designate and your officers and men and women, please be aware of the fact that it's not easy to fix things when we do not deliver to the expectation of the United Nations in the mission area. It's a new era for the RFMF. This is the new era. And that is why I wanted to be here as your minister responsible. And again, I want to link what you're doing in the mission field with Fiji's diplomatic relations. We serve Fiji in so many capacities and in so many different ways. I was with the Flying Fijians after their first two games, their losses to Australia and Uruguay. I was specifically asked by the Prime Minister to travel to Japan and talk to them before the Georgia game. I should have remained for the Wales game as well. Just to remind them that they are there in Japan as ambassadors of the country. Losing another game will be an embarrassment to the country. And when you misbehave in the missions area, you are an embarrassment. You bring disgrace to the country. That's history. We are on a new era in as far as RFMF's involvement in peacekeeping operations. So the challenge that you and I equally face today is how we can maintain that legacy, maintain that higher reputation, maintaining that higher level of professionalism and conduct. It is a challenge. When you go and serve in Iraq, make sure that you also not only fulfill the mandate, but be aware of the fact that you are there as ambassadors of this country. We travel all over the world. People ask us, where are you from? I'm from Fiji. Oh, you are the world champion in sevens rugby. Some people know Fiji through Vijay Singh because of his golfing skills. And most people as well know Fiji through peacekeeping operations. Apart from other. So this is very, very critical for us. And as I've stated, you are an extensive arm of Fiji's foreign policy. And for us, as a small country, you will hear it from us always, we are punching above our own weight in peacekeeping operations, and of course, our support to multilateralism, which is very, very critical for a small country like us. CEO Designate and your team, I hope that you will take this seriously before you deploy. I'm told that not the whole 183 or so that are here will be deployed. 160 something perhaps will travel, but for those of you that will not be selected for this trip to NAMI, I know that you will be considered for the Sinai draft, which is coming up early next year. Let me again just conclude by again reminding all of us about the Action for Peace mandate that the UN Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, has come up with, and particularly on 8 critical areas. I will not speak on the 8, but I wish to emphasize again on 2. One is on 5, the performance and accountability, and lastly is on 8, the conduct of peacekeepers and the peace operations. Because this is, to me, very, very critical for us as we are about to depart for the mission area. What is important for us at this stage is to understand the commitments that have been made by our leaders. We have collectively agreed that we will ensure that the highest level of peacekeeping performance is undertaken, and of course to hold all civilian and uniformed peacekeepers, particularly leadership, for effective performance under common parameters while addressing performance shortfalls. Again, government is committed to peacekeeping, and we are in the process of reviewing our pledges because of the Action for Peace document based on the high-level panel report that was submitted to the United Nations. But cut it short, let me tell you that government will continue to support you. I'm told that this will be the first draft to be issued with the, what's the name of the passport? Official passport. Because this is the draft that usually faces problem previously because of visa and other related issues. But this will be the first draft that will be issued with official passports. That is an indication of government's commitment to peacekeeping operations. Allowances and everything. You will be visited very soon by His Excellency the President and Commander-in-Chief of the RFMF. He will be coming to the mission area probably towards the end of November, early December. But of course he has to come back home for Christmas as well. But government is supporting you. But your government has also committed to maintain the highest level in peacekeeping, in peace operations, both for civilian and uniformed personnel. And this demands a lot from the leadership. Again, you designate and your men and women, leadership is very, very critical. When I looked at the previous incidents investigation reports, I only come to one conclusion. This is a command issue. But let me remind all of us that we are leaders in our own rights. All of us. Put on a leader's mentality, all of you. If you are a private, if you are, be a leader. Think like a leader. It will make things easier for your CEO and for his 2IC and of course your OCs and the senior NCOs and junior NCOs as well. This unified vision will bring us together if we put on a leadership mentality. That will be very, very critical for us. As I've stated previously, new environment, dynamics have changed. Be receptive to the challenges that come with this. And on accountability, we will be held accountable for all our actions. This demands a lot from us. We are there to restore good governance and create the environment for the host nations so that they can enjoy a peaceful, harmonious life. But let's not go there and create problems again, particularly for host countries. One of the latest incidents I know is just about settling debts that we owe hawkers in. That is not a good indication, that is not a good reflection of Fiji. Please, if you do take goods, make sure that you pay for it. Because every little thing that you do will have implications on Fiji and the reputation of us as a peace contributing country. So I wish to again emphasize to you, make the most of this opportunity. There are thousands of men and women who want to come and join the RFMF, and let alone having the opportunity to go and serve abroad. You've been given that opportunity. Make the most of it. You must have plans about your family. When you come back from peacekeeping operations, we've had incidences in the past where people retire from the RFMF, they don't even have even a house, a home for their family. That's disappointing. Let's take responsibility, because you will also contribute to the growth of this country when you return. So make sure that you have a good plan for you and for your family. For those of us that are in leadership, lead wisely. And for all of us, let's serve proudly. Let's be proud of the fact that we represent the RFMF. Let's be proud of the fact that we are Fijians. And of course, let's be proud of the fact that we can contribute to global peace and security. I wish you all the very best. Look after yourselves, your health, and of course, support your families who will be here, left here. Make sure that you support them as well. Enjoy your TOD, and God forbid that see you all here again next year after your 12-month tour of duty. Bye! Naka, thank you.
How are you having me? Okay.